semester last season. And so seeing him make the move to jungle, I'm curious to see like how he's going to set up control, and how he's going to support his team moving forward, especially into the later stages of the game, to see if he can't, I don't know, I guess be a difference maker, as it were.
See if he can transfer those skills to make those plays necessary to make sure his team gets those dubs.
That's right. Yeah.
I will be honest. I'm excited to see how this turns out.
Yeah, well, good. I hope you are excited. I hope everyone in the chat is excited, because again, this is the first game of the season for the League of Legends team. And so it's going to be a little bit of our first dose, just to kind of gauge the team and what the rest of the season might be able, what might be in store for us as viewers and those associated with the team. So,
which means y'all better keep an eye out. You'll never know how the season will turn out.
True.
Y'all. Already noticing some things that CEI might have to be careful about. So I don't know how you are familiar with the rune system of this game, but if you notice Bacon and LCG Ninja's runes, Bacon's is for very much burst damage. However, the Veins is very much for consistent damage and ramping throughout a fight.
Sure.
So if they can't shut down that Vein immediately when it comes to the team fights coming up, they might get into some real trouble. Especially considering how much damage Vein can put out with her kit.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn.
Excellent. As we've loaded in the game, I just want to make sure that, again, we can hear something and that I'm also not absolutely just murdering the ears of everybody here with us. So, again,
let them go deaf to the sound of an angel.
Everything else should be just fine.
Okay, looks like both teams are going to be starting their bot side jungles. Might mean in a couple of minutes that there'll be some skirmishes up in top lane and maybe top river, unless if they decide to go for some aggressive early invades on each other.
So let me ask you this, because we are here obviously in the early game. Who might have the advantage just based off of characters within the early game?
Based off of characters alone, the people I would say would have the biggest advantage would be Mordekaiser in the top lane and Nautilus Lucian in the bot lane, actually.
Okay.
So, for some points, Nautilus is very much a heavy, aggressive, engaged support. So he can get onto his target very easily, keep them from doing whatever they want to, and then just leave without a second's remorse. Okay. But the enemy support is an enchanter, which she can help enable the Vein, but if they get gone on, there's not a whole lot she can do to save the ADC from death. And in the top lane, I would say Mordekaiser has a slight advantage, although I'd say it's entirely a skill matchup.
Sure. Because
his entire thing is once he lands a couple of attacks, he can just run people down due to his passive. Oh, look like an aggressive early play, and first blood from Ahri out here. What a monstrous gank.
And I believe that was Marmalade securing the kill there.
Yep, the Ignite got them after the enemy Akali flashed out. Looks like the Nautilus went in. And see, that's the exact point I was making about Nautilus's engage. He took 0 damage and took a quarter of that Seraphine's life.
Wow.
Gotta make it really difficult to lane.
Wow. So seemingly, I mean, you did stress some of the importance of the CEI bot lane and how there might be an advantage early game. So I wonder if that is part of the overall master plan that has been concocted, if you will, by the new CEI captain, that being Miss Engineer, which we have mentioned is in that top lane. So again, I wonder if that is the game plan coming into this, to see, like, I wonder what kind of push we can create within that bottom lane to kind of try to
Get, like,
open
an
up the game
early
for
lead.
us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think you have a fair point there, especially considering how volatile games can be. One kill can make a huge difference early on. If they can make that early lead happen as soon as possible, with an aggressive tank like that as a support, they could just endlessly dive like they're doing again.
Wow.
This time, Vayne almost already dead from a single engage. I think that you might be onto something here.
And I was curious about what coordination might look like for Bacon and Easy Breeze. Again, those two players being in the bottom lane. And so far, if
It seems to be
if
going
jitters were
really
going to be
well.
happening, it would have been very early game. And so far, they seem to be rather coordinated. Again, just under 5 minutes into the game as we're saying that. So there's still a lot of game left to be played. But oftentimes, and especially in the case of Bacon, new players can kind of fumble the bag from time to time and maybe lose focus on some of the important things in early game. So
I totally get you. But it seems thus far as though the enemy is really fumbling, that they're getting really nervous. A lot of these fights have just been absolute massacres thus far.
they're not able to hit attacks as far as my untrained eye can see. And Marmalade
They
almost able
got
to
a
pick up the second kill. That would have actually been huge for the middle lane.
Oh, absolutely. The Collie's already down 20 CS and a kill. That's roughly a 600 gold gap. That's huge early game, especially if it's only 5 minutes in. As you can already tell, CEI already has over a K gold lead on the enemy, largely due to Marmalade.
And that's actually huge. And so once the objectives come into play, I'm very curious to see how CEI coordinates that effort to secure the objectives and really potentially build that gold lead and just other metrics, across the board.
The momentum needed to just really push those
Oh,
leads out.
wow. Miss Engineer.
The craziest thing about that is when Alawi attacks those little ghosts she pulls out,
Sure.
she heals.
Oh,
which
interesting.
means that no matter how much damage Miss Engineer takes, as long as they don't die and they land those E's. Oh, the ults!
Wow.
So, that is one of the biggest things that the Mordekaiser are going to have to look out for. Do I need to get closer? So, one of the biggest things Mordekaiser has to look out for is Alawi, her ult, the way it works is that she becomes unstoppable, which means she's immune to CC for roughly half a second, a very slim window. But in doing so, when Mordekaiser is going to ult, she stopped Mordekaiser ult, which steals the stats of their enemy,
Oh.
which has completely altered the power of that 1v1 fight into an easy win.
That was really well played.
Oh, absolutely. Not a whole lot of people can time that effectively.
Again, bottom lane able to continue to back Chapman University bottom lane players rather effectively, but it looks like there might be
Marmalade dodges the CC free from Friego, whiffs the charm, but gets out safely.
Wow.
Completely prevents that gank. It seems like Chapman University is struggling to try and find a foothold here to just try and get a chink in the armor, as you will.
Sure. So, looking from the perspective of Chapman, what would be some of the openings that they would need to find to try to, create that foothold?
So, the issue for Chapman a lot is that this is very much going to be a heavily jungle-influenced early game because their mobility for Chapman doesn't come online until roughly level 6.
Okay.
So, they have very limited CC to work with in that point to try and lead to those kills. And since mid lane's so mobile and bot lane's forcing the enemy bot lane out of these fights, Viego can't trust those two lanes to be able to help him get those leads. So his only real option is to try and go after top lane here. but it is also clear that this Alawi has the potential to do a 1v2 play, and if they lose that 1v2 potential, top lane will be pretty much over and done with already.
And to speak to the top lane and how we talked about how oftentimes, misengineer, I wouldn't say one-trick Aatrox because we saw way more of a dynamic player than that last season, but certainly heavily favors Aatrox as the main legend.
Oh, absolutely.
So to see, this type of
Domination from his
and
from not even playing his
versatility
main.
for
Yeah,
sure with the
absolutely.
legend selection, very, very promising, and something that I'm, as we move forward throughout the season, that I'm very interested in.
If Misengineer plays this, oh, this is an easy kill for Engineer here, so long as they dodge that Q. Yeah, this Mordekaiser's done
Wow,
for.
really well played.
And because of all of this early pressure and all this potential, they can basically claim whatever objective they want, and Diego can't do a darn thing to stop them.
Seemingly the jungle is theirs. They are kings of the jungle, as it were. I'm about to start with some George of the Jungle screams and chant, so you might have to hold me back, Quentin.
Oh, you'll have to stop me first.
We'll be doing the George of the Jungle chants together by the end of this. This will ultimately just become the CEI League of Legends podcast where we're just goofing
Just
about.
a bunch of ooh-oohs and ah-ahs.
Exactly.
Looks like Diego is going to come up here and try and help the Mordekaiser stop the Rift Herald from getting as much as it could, but it looks like this Alawi is going to be absolutely monstrous in lane from now on. I don't know if Mordekaiser is going to be able to do much to stop it for the next bit. But we will see what Mordekaiser can pull. Champions like him do some nasty things on occasion.
And then as far as the player role that's setting up Vision, kind of explain to me a little bit like how they're doing one, and then just the importance of creating vision for your team.
So, vision is probably the most important yet underrated aspect of a game like League that you have to be careful about. It is the nature of every decision you make throughout the game, and if you don't have that, you can very easily fall into traps. You could lose objectives that people have been on, but you just didn't have the vision to see it.
Sure.
And in essence, it just allows you to plan your every move. I would say both teams are doing relatively well when it comes to the vision game. It's just that Chapman doesn't really have the prio needed to be able to act on the information they're given, just because they're just not at that point in the game yet.
Sure.
But it seems like, because if you look at the numbers next to the yellow ward icon by the scoreboard, that number dictates how much vision they've placed down, and it is mainly calculated by how many champions it has spotted throughout the ward's lifetime.
Sure, okay.
And so their ward scores are roughly even. Surprisingly, the Marmalade has the highest vision score, which is, as a mid laner, kind of not usually what happens. But it means they know every decision the enemy's going to make before the enemy does, which gives them such a huge advantage.
Let's take a look at this real quick.
Bacon is on the verge of death, but his
Shapekeeper there to
what a
trade out though.
flash and getting got assassinated by the Diego as Easy Breeze runs down the support after the massive team fight, but it looks like Diego is going to try and get as much as he can out of this play.
Overall though, so far the trade's still in favor of CEI. Wow, Marmalade
was
holding on there just by the skin of his teeth.
Red.
Oh my goodness.
But that's why I have to be so careful about Chapman. Even though they were a tap behind with the champions they have, they can do things you wouldn't even imagine. He almost got a triple kill there by himself after his ADC had died.
But that was, in hindsight, obviously being 2020, that was potentially the opening that Chapman really needed, like we said earlier, to get the foothold, to really create that momentum to carry the team forward.
Oh, absolutely, and something to
Really close, honestly.
Oh, absolutely, and something to take into account is CEI is already starting to amount bounties, which if the Diego or anyone on the team can claim, can really bring them back from that with that extra 300, 400 gold leads. Oh,
Shakekeeper looking to
with
punish.
the prediction causing the Akali to flash out. Don't know if that was necessarily needed for such an action, but better safe than sorry. And then it just looks like Shakekeeper's trying to get revenge for what the Viego did,
Wow.
but got caught out by the Akali's ults. But it looks like Easy Breeze comes in to avenge his fallen comrade.
Truly, Enchiladas looking like they're going to get away. A little bit of a cheeky play, but to what reward, if you will?
I mean, they took out the jungler. It was in essence a jungle trade for a jungle trade. I wouldn't say it's necessarily worth because they used a lot more of their ults and summoners in that instance than CEI did.
Sure.
And now, if Easy Breeze really feels cheeky, he can just go after the enemy bot lane, which absolutely makes that trade in the mid lane viable here.
Wow, really well played there.
Yeah, the mobility advantage that Ahri has, especially with this early lead, is going to make bot lane very, very sad. But it looks like the Mordekaiser's going to try and go for that bouncy on Miss Engineer's head, although they appear to be struggling. And it looks like both of them are going to back out and just try and poke each other out to get that regen back in lane. But what an absolute brawl fest thus far this game has been. It has been roughly 15 minutes, 11 deaths, and multiple objectives already. And it seems like both teams are fighting tooth and nail to try and get any sort of, let's say, meat on the bone in their guts.
Yes, certainly. And it looks like a tag team effort from Shadekeeper and Miss Engineer. Miss Engineer looking to, does secure the kill.
The team dynamic here is really starting to show, especially from Shadekeeper. If you've noticed, he has only taken one of the kills, probably not even intentionally, so he's giving all the golds to his laners, who have obviously been responding en masse to help him with all these plays, especially Marmalade.
Oh, truly. And I would assume that you would want to have that type of selflessness within a jungle player to really set up the other 4 players that you have on your team.
Oh, absolutely. Although there is some exceptions to the case, since there are definitely champions in the jungle that...
Oh, and there he is again. Shadekeeper to the rescue.
I mean, he took the kill. What a selfish monster. But,
Yeah, right.
but he's making a lot of plays here for his allies, and they're backing him up in kind and just absolutely abusing the enemy while they can. Like, the gold difference is already starting to amount. It was 1,000 earlier, and it's gotten up to 7k, which is 2 full items for a champion difference.
It's beginning to spiral a little bit here for Chapman. They're going to need to, pull themselves up by the bootstraps, as it were, and try to figure out what is their opening going to be in order to really battle back with CEI.
If I was them right now, what I would do is set up a 3-man play on the Ahri specifically. If they can take down the Ahri, not only do they lose the Dark Seal stacks that give them a lot of extra damage for getting kills, they get an additional 700 gold from the bounty there, and that, especially if it got onto someone like the Akali, who could then get their main item, it could very much lead into the Ahri and Akali being back into a similar situation where it's two AP assassins just duking it out in the mid lane.
Sure. One thing that I have noticed, again, to highlight Shadekeeper, and the team is going to watch this back for like VOD review or whatever, and they're going to be like, you guys only talked about Shadekeeper, but he's been present in most fights and has been willing to trade out and be there to support his team members as they then in turn, as you've highlighted, secure the kill within their lane. And again, as we've highlighted, those lane players are able to then really become more effective.
Well, absolutely. And just to continue with your point, everyone on the team is absolutely murdering it. Like, even the unsung hero of the ADC, every lane has more gold, every lane has more CS, which is creep score, which means they all have, they've been killing more of the minions and stuff in their lanes.
Okay.
They have higher XP, they've had higher KP, they have a complete objective control. Like, in pretty much 90% of the aspects of this game, everyone's been doing well in CEI versus Chapman. Mind you, Chapman's doing fairly decently. They just made a couple of bad plays early on that CEI is really taking advantage of.
Yeah. And I think that's, and again, not to throw perhaps your team under the bus last season, but I think that we were given early leads and we had early lead opportunities, and Miss Engineer is not going to be able to get away there. That is absolutely.
Engineer stepped up without vision and fell to the gank from Viego. What? Oh, but
Wow, Marmalade to step in.
comes in to wreak havoc, and Shadekeeper keeps Viego trapped. I think it might have just been an entrap in entirety. Maybe that was the plan the entire time.
Potentially. I mean, surely, again, that was a potential opportunity for Chapman to try to kind of wiggle their way back into this game. But again, like we mentioned earlier, Marmalade, of course, being there to really try and get the trade, but then Shadekeeper coming in to assist Marmalade in doing so, and in turn, putting the man advantage back in favor of CEI.
Oh, absolutely. The Marmalade and Shadekeeper are really roaming together here, since they're both so mobile and they both have really high damage. There's very little the enemy can do unless if they send in more people. They just don't have the manpower with just Viego and Mordekaiser to take down all three of them.
And probably because of that, they're not super comfortable trying to maybe do a play like that.
Make those dangerous moves.
Yeah, but at this point, it's gonna have to kind of just be a full send attitude if they're.
It's gonna be their last chance.
It really is.
Because they're still at Chapman's still at an 8k loss, and Viego's going down for the count due to Nautilus ult and Ari ults.
Wow.
Something though that should really be pointed out is that Ari is almost 100 CS up on Akali with 7 kills. Unless if they can take down that Ari, she is just going to continue being a monster. But it looks like Mordekaiser is starting to pull that advantage that he needs in these 1v1s against Miss Engineer.
Yeah.
Miss Engineer is starting to lose that tempo that they had earlier, thanks to a little help from their teammates. But in exchange, they did get a tower and a Drake. They're almost at soul here. And that Vayne is going down. Ghosting and flashing to escape the Nautilus, who was right down on their trail. So it looks like both teams are backing off, but Shadekeeper is here to make sure that the ADC goes down again with the flash. He needs to be very careful. If he ults at the wrong time here, Vayne could just... Oh, wow. And that Q obliterated Seraphine. They're absolutely going to tower dive this Vayne if she does not leave, and she will die. Honestly, I don't know if Chapman can come back from this unless if they manage to claim some of those bounties. If CEI gets Soul, and as long as Miss Engineer can stop the Mordekaiser from split pushing effectively, I don't see a way that Chapman wins this. Especially with Mordekaiser about to die, which means
wow.
Miss Engineer is back in the game in top lane.
And I hate to even admit that I had the thought. And so, Miss Engineer, don't get mad at me, all right? Don't shoot the messenger, please. But I did have the thought that potentially if Chapman was going to maybe target a weaker lane, just because the fights hadn't gone in favor of Miss Engineer, that potentially the top lane could have been that opportunity. Because as we've seen, the answer's not been the mid lane. The answer has certainly not been the bottom lane. And again, to kind of continue to sing his praises, that's because Shadekeeper has been just very mobile, very mobile, and looking to support his teammates that way.
I agree. And just the way Alawi works.
However,
getting attacked 2v1 again, but
3v1. Oh, I'm sorry, 2v1.
That's the soul,
Yep.
But
my eyes have deceived me.
Oh,
and I'm lying
worry.
to each of you. I'm sorry.
When in this type of situation, Alawi really shines. She basically is an inherent 2v1 monster. She's gonna go down from this fight, though, unfortunately, even though Shadekeeper went in to try and help. But Shadekeeper takes down Viego in bot lane, scores a kill and a tower. And honestly, Shakekeeper won the 1v2 in the top lane while the bot lane was just absolutely murdering their support. And I think at this point, it appears that we have temporary. Okay, we're back.
That was really unfortunate. I'm sorry, everybody.
Apparently the stream was too graphic. It had to be temporarily shut down. Chapman was getting attacked a wee bit too hard, but it looks like Lucian is going to unfortunately die here. Unless his teammates show up to defend him.
Again, the assistance that's come in from CEI, from just really across every single player to look to trade and to support has just been, it's been
They've been absolutely
top shelf.
on the ball working for each other.
100%.
But thus far, it looks like the team dynamics are stronger than ever. Honestly, yeah, I'm kind of jealous this wasn't my team last season.
Listen, I don't blame you. I don't blame you, Quentin. And
My ego can't take the hit.
no, it's okay.
I was the one holding them back.
It's okay. Your children have grown. Look at them, Quentin. They're growing before your very eyes.
It brings a tear to my eyes.
Good. Mine too. Mine too. One of the things that I was going to highlight before, the game decided to go to sleep on us, and I do apologize for that. Clearly, there was no need. The game was interesting enough. I don't know why we were sleeping on it. One of the things that I was going to highlight was the fact that CEI is able to keep that map control. They don't have to use all of their resources to focus in on fights within Chapman University. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight there was the fact that Shadekeeper, again singing his praises, was able to kind of control those two enemy players on the side of Chapman there in that top lane.
Oh, absolutely.
While again the bottom was able to continue to push up and move that way.
They're forcing Chapman University to play by their tempo, and it is absolutely destroying them. And now that they've claimed Soul, Hextech Soul, I would say, is pretty much if the game wasn't sealed already, it is now. The Chapman University has no means of escape anymore, and CEI, with even more ability to catch the enemy out, is just going to continue oppressing them inch by bloody inch.
Truly.
Honestly, as long as they play careful here and they're able to get solid damage on the towers, they can end right here, right now, especially by ruining Mordekaiser's TP. It's over. They have secured the first win out of the best 2 out of 3 match here. They just need to stop fighting and focus the Nexus.
Maybe they're just hoping the minions come in and do the dirty work for them, but
they needed one more kill on the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, fair enough. That is match number 1 going the way of CEI. And again, I may have failed to mention at the very beginning, but this is a best of 3 series, so it will be the first to 2. They will be crowned victor, as it were. And so check box for game number 1 on the side of CEI. It's going to be interesting now as we kind of look at this match number 1 in hindsight to see what some of the adjustments might be for Chapman University moving forward. I'm curious to see maybe what some of the bans might be on the side of Chapman. I don't know, because you can't necessarily get rid of the Aatrox.
So
yeah. Yes.
Especially since if they do get rid of, say, Ari and Alawi in exchange for the Aatrox and maybe even the Senna pick, it could be a completely different team dynamic. Because honestly, Marmalade's Ari is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, truly.
An early level 2 kill into an easy lead. But we'll have to see how game 2 goes.
We had someone come to the rescue and assist us, so forgive.
We tried turning it on and off again. Seem to be doing.
Grease is toxic. I said what I said.
There we go. We should have the overlay working. Now we can get into the actual game.
Cool. Apologies, everybody. Thank you for being patient. So far, no kills have been traded, but Chapman very, very ever so slightly leading in gold. very slightly. In fact, one might call it not that big of a deal.
The only thing that's really big of a deal is how much punishment Marmalade is currently getting in this 1v1. But it looks like they're going for this early gank.
Traded though.
Galio gets the
Shade
first
used to get out.
blood. Xin Zhao's gonna die here, but unless if the flash saves him. An early 1-for-1 trade. It gives Galio a little bit more gold than the Silas, but it shouldn't be too much of a difference considering that since Xin Zhao's gotten the kill, maybe he can put that roam pressure he did in the previous game to show.
Also, real quick before we go any further, massive shout out to Easy Breeze coming in clutch with the account so we could spectate. Everybody needs to give their thanks.
He is the hero we needed, not the hero we deserved.
This is true.
But it looks like Shadekeeper is trying to insert that early influence again. He got the Jinx to use both of their summoner spells there, so maybe bot lane might have a little bit of an easier time, but kind of getting a bit of damage done.
Sweet.
Oh, the Braum trying to block the Jinx rocket to stop the ADC from going down, but unfortunately, there's only so big a shield that can be blocked by Braum.
One of the things that we also need to highlight is that Easy Breeze is no longer in this game. A substitution was made in between matches, and that's he's Big Shrimpin coming in.
Big Shrimpin being another member from this for this new season. I personally didn't get to play with him last season, but I'm excited to see what the new guy's got. New guy or new girl. Not giving out any personal information here.
This new human that is on the roster.
Here's their IP address.
Facts.
In reference to Blurry Mai's question, unfortunately, you cannot try out for our team unless if you are a part of it. Otherwise, I would have still been on the team after I graduated CEI.
Facts.
I may be the anchor weighing down the team, but if they will succeed, I will succeed with them by getting paid.
Quentin is currently living vicariously through his children, and we're seeing maybe not a lot of living happening here from CEI.
Looks like they're really focusing on trying to get the ADC out of the game, like what happened last game. If they can get that, if that Jinx gets online pretty early, it might be very rough for CEI to get them shut down unless they can get a really good Silas recon on them. But it looks like he's not gonna, Marmalade's not gonna have the pressure to do that for quite some time, considering how much this Galio is forcing waves to go in.
So far, and again, just under 7 minutes into the game, and really quickly, I do apologize for everybody for us not being able to capture those first couple of minutes within the game. So again, thank you for your patience. I appreciate your grace.
I don't think you need to bow to the mic.
I
Praise be to the gods of the audience.
Truly. However, that said, much better start for Chapman University heading into this being match number 2. And ultimately, backs kind of against the wall, needing to win this game in order to take it to a match number 3.
If they lose this match, then it's over for them for the beginning of the season. However, they are amassing almost a 2k lead, and they got the first objective this time. It seems like CEI might be on the ropes thus far. There hasn't been much going on except for a lot of skirmishes in the bot lane this. It looks like there's going to be another skirmish going on as they just keep on fighting, but I think CEI really came out on top on that trade.
Seemingly. Thankfully, Bacon not, being caught out again. No shade to Bacon. No shade, Bacon.
Not getting attacked by three people jumping on top of him.
Stay greasy, baby. Bacon.
Gotta keep it crispy, baby.
That's right.
But if they had if they had one more level there, bot lane would have been able to kill the Rakan and maybe gone on to the Jinx. But it looks like Miss Engineer up in the top lane is going to be able to secure that lead with the Gwen being way overextended given her HP. There is a 3-minute delay. We'll try and keep things relatively current.
3-minute delay with the spectator, and then there is a required additional delay on the side of Streamlabs, but we will try to stay focused here on what is happening in the game.
We don't want to cause any issues. Well, given the game currently is getting kind of crazy. I'm surprised that Braum has managed to live, and that ult barely hitting the Jinx. The Jinx almost dying trying to suicide for that early kill, but it looks like the Xin Zhao's gonna try and go for a cheeky play on the Jinx. And although the season has already been seeded, we could maybe pass the information along to some of the CEI players if they want to set up scrims for Boston University, but that is not up to me.
My wings, your thanks.
Things seem to have slowed down a little bit more, but it seems as if at least the mid lane is going to be making a play soon, considering Marmalade has taken Galio ult, maybe to prepare for a roam if he can ever get that wave shoved out, but that Galio is making sure Silas is unable to exert the pressure he did last game, as top lane is just being a brawl fest between Malphite and Gwen. Depending on when Malphite ult comes back up, he might be able to go for another cheeky kill on the Gwen, so long as he avoids that Q, and this is his chance to strike. And bot lane's gonna try and get the Rakan, who is a little bit out of place, but nothing ultimately happens here.
So far, it still seems like it's rather shaky ground on the side of CEI. It's certainly not as stable as we saw in match number 1. And so I'm just kind of trying to think about what the angle might be for CEI to, kind of create a little bit more stability as we head into mid game and then ultimately late game.
Oh, absolutely. Because it seems like, considering that the mid lane isn't able to roam like they were able to last game, they can't really exert the pressure they did with the double roam with the jungle. Given that they don't have that real pressure, it's hard for them to exert the pressure, and bot lane just barely surviving that Jinx rocket that could have probably killed both of them if they hadn't have dodged it. This seems like a real skirmish fest trying to make sure that people can get out, but with Silas being unable to push and bot lane ultimately getting nothing from that play, they can't really match the objective pressure that the enemy jungler is currently influencing by taking them out. But it looks like they might try and go for an early drag. I don't know if that's the smartest idea given the bot lane's HP and mana on the wall, especially with Bacon about to die to that Fury ult.
Not able to get away there, and that is going to be punished, as is Big Shrimp, and then that's the double kill.
Shadekeeper manages to take the Drake, but there's no way he's escaping the Rakan and the Nathiri here. That was a very risky play made by CEI, and that might cause some severe backlash. Oh, wow. Needed half a second longer, and Shadekeeper would have made it out there with the ridiculous recall strat. I can respect him for that.
seemingly looking like Marmalade trying to, you know,
Get a kill off on the
trying
Galio,
to.
but he's really struggling to put that finishing blow on him. Galio having all that magic resist is really doing him wonders here.
I can respect, you know, that kind of attempt to sort of close the gap after, you know, teammates going down and maybe, and like you had already mentioned, probably a relatively risky play to try to get the Drake there. Ultimately, they did get it, but I don't know if it was really worth it.
Deaths were worth it. I mean, Drakes are super powerful. Something like an Infernal Drake can make a big difference, especially if you're behind. But 2 kills in exchange? I'm not so sure it's worth it either.
Yeah, trade's not going in the favor of CEI thus far, and that's a massive improvement, certainly on the side of Chapman University, kind of able to, again, pull themselves up by the bootstraps and then look to bounce back and really have an impact in this game. So far, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Chapman ended the match number 1 with 6-7 kills. We're already seeing them at that kill count here in match number 2.
Oh, absolutely. There's been a lot more fighting this game early on, especially in Chapman's side when it comes to having the team fight advantage. Something, though, to keep in mind is that a lot of the resources have been going on with the Jinx, and CEI happens to have a team that's very good at diving. They just don't have that pressure just yet to get on top of them. But maybe if the Silas is able to rotate over and get that, it looks like he's hesitating. He's getting caught between Galio and the bot lane. He might go down for making such hesitancy in a critical moment where maybe if you played it differently, you could have gotten it. But it looks like the Fury also is making questionable choices here.
It seemed like Marmalade was trying to rotate down to potentially salvage some of that fight, but was too late on the rotate. Chapman had already done the damage. At that point, I feel like, and it's seemingly that's what we're seeing. He certainly needed to cut the losses, and I think that's ultimately what's happened. However, Marmalade not out of the woods yet, nor is Bacon.
Again, if you can get on top of her with that ult, oh, that is an easy bounty claim by Marmalade, and they get the recon here too. The bot lane, Chapman University got fairly cocky there, thinking that just because they got a couple of kills, they could withstand the 4-man dive in the bot lane. However, CEI is still gonna have to be careful.
That said, it was a 4-man dive on the side of CEI. It did take all of those resources to try to, claw away at this disadvantage that CEI has so far. And I do need to sing the praises of Chapman, a little bit, because they've been doing a significantly better job here in match number 2.
And something to keep in mind is, even though that was a 4v2, the Jinx almost managed to kill 3 of them in the process. If she had maybe another item or just a little bit more HP, she might have been able to make that play into just an absolute slaughterfest.
Yeah.
Because all she needs is the 1 kill and she becomes super hyper.
Here's Shadekeeper again. To the rescue of Misengineer, looking to try to secure the kill onto Ethan, and they're able to do so.
Absolutely. They're gonna end up struggling with all that healing Gwen is doing, but for now, they're able to try and suppress her and get at least a little bit of an advantage in topside. If the Malphite can get a little bit more stacked, a little bit stronger, they will always have go-in potential against the Jinx. However, I don't think Chapman's going to make that easy, considering all the tool they have with Recon and Galio ready to just tank an ult at a minute's notice.
Certainly it seems like jungle control is very much in the favor of Chapman. And maybe in part because Shadekeeper, the jungle player on the side of CEI, has had to be so mobile to go to the aid of his teammates in their respective lanes.
Especially given that Marmalade isn't able to roam like he did the previous game.
Yeah.
There is in essence only 1 jungler rather than 2 junglers here, which can make it significantly harder to, make those mobile plays so quickly and efficiency like he was last game.
Yes.
So he's going to struggle a little bit more, but it seems like he's starting to get that footing here where he's getting those ganks off.
Yeah.
But although I agree that Chapman probably has the jungle advantage here, simply because they have a lot more urgency in their lanes, it looks like that Chapman's going to give up a Drake in exchange for taking multiple turrets.
I don't know. We're seeing towers taken right now.
Absolutely. They're saying, hey, we don't need this Drake. We'll take 3 turrets.
That's actually 2 towers.
They're
in
also
exchange.
taking the one in top lane. There's no one there to answer them. If they don't do much here, they are going to lose. They just lost 3 towers from it. And the Gwen is still pushing and nobody is answering her. They're all hesitating on what to do next. They need to stop them from either taking the Rift Herald or from Gwen pushing.
I don't
but
think that's gonna happen. It looks like the Rift Herald is gonna go the way of Chapman. I don't think anybody's in. No one's in the
Yeah.
range to try and snipe that.
I think Chapman made a very smart call by sacrificing that Drake in order for not only 3 towers but a Rift Herald, which it looks like they're going to try and maybe use immediately to get even more priority. So maybe 120 gold from the Drake and 2 kills in exchange for 2 kills and 3 towers and a Rift Herald.
Ugh. Yeah.
Very, very precarious situation, especially with Shadekeeper's jungle now being invaded by the enemy bot lane, and he is nowhere near to stop them. He's gonna struggle trying to get that footing back that he just recently gained.
This is true, and the gold lead for Chapman is just continuing to increase. Yep.
It's almost gotten to the 6k point. Mind you, the game is still very much far from over, but unless CEI does something about how the enemy is distributing their manpower, I don't know if they'll be able to get those picks they need or the tower pry-out they need to be able to make the plays. But it looks like they're trying to set something up with bot lane here. It seems like Jinx has enough for their second item. But whatever was getting planned in bot lane appears to have been cancelled with everyone backing off and bot lane being transitioned into mid lane.
Seemingly, there still needs to be, I don't know what else to say other than this element of like calm that needs to become present for CEI. There needs to be that deep breath that is taken collectively just to kind of, okay, so what are our options? What are some of the things that we need to do here to try to regain some type of foothold? Sure, the kill count 8 to 7, but that does not tell the full story here.
Oh,
the
absolutely.
coordination certainly has gone the way of Chapman University. The decision making ultimately, yeah, gone the way of Chapman.
Either Chapman managed to calm down significantly, or CEI started to panic up into losing his lead, but I think Chapman might be making a dangerous play here. The entirety of CEI's team, except for the Silas, is over here examining this Baron. If they can steal it and shut down the Jinx, this could be so massive. But they need to stop the Gwen from taking the Drake, and the Fury goes in to secure it, and it looks like, I have to guess, Chapman University is going to run down the enemy team now with Baron buff, and Malphite struggling to get on top of the Jinx.
Wow. And trades ultimately going in favor of Chapman.
That
In fact, that's a 4-man.
4-for-1 with a Baron buff on top. Chapman, have to point this out, the microspacing of that Jinx when he's being chased was absolutely stellar. No offense to CEI, but they needed a little bit extra oomph to be able to get on top of her, otherwise she was just going to deal too much damage for them. The Malphite tried, but after that flash there was no catching up.
So now it looks like the push is going to be coming on the top lane for Chapman, trying to continue to really chip away at CEI turrets.
They're dispersing their... Chapman appears to be dispersing their power into a 2-1 top mid. They're trying to make sure that the Rift Herald gets put off, but it seems like Chapman made a very risky play here. They managed to bring up a couple people in the top lane, apologies for that, and managed to lose their lead. But
Double kill in that top lane though.
they managed, Chapman University did manage to do a little bit of damage to both the top lane and the mid lane turret, but in exchange they lost 2 lives, and if CEI can hold off long enough, those turrets will eventually heal. But if CEI can still stall some of that tempo, they might be able to get at least a little bit of the tempo they previously had back. But it also seems that now that Chapman University went for Drake, they're gonna try and get that objective pressure, but in exchange for that Drake, it looks like CEI is really starting to go for those wombo combos here.
And that's actually big that Bacon was able to secure that kill to try to help elevate him moving forward in this game. It seemed like he was lacking a little bit in that moment. And seemingly perhaps maybe Big Shrimpin a little bit behind as well as far as like character, I should say legend progression so far in this game.
Not to make you feel bad or anything, but they're called champions.
Champions, legends, who,
Same difference.
whatever.
But I absolutely agree. They need a little bit more oomph to catch up with their bot lane counterparts create. English is hard.
Yeah, and it's my first language.
I was born with this language, still haven't mastered it.
Yeah, true. Still learning.
But it seems like CEI is getting at least some tower, some roaming pressure. It looks like Marmalade's going to try and go for a fight here. Don't know how that's going to turn out. Silas.
Gatekeeper
But
to the rescue.
Additional help might make it, but Gwen's healing is off the charge. Manages to trade with Silas in a 1v3 though. Have to say, if they're struggling against what was a 1-in-4 top laner with 3 of them, what's going to happen when the rest of the team decides to team fight with her?
Yeah, it's certainly heavily favoring Chapman right now as far as team fights go.
However, it appears CEI is at least starting to close the gold gap. It was previously around 8k, but it's gone a bit closer to 5. It'll get a little bit even closer now that they've taken their 3rd turret of the game. But CEI needs to somehow regain that jungle urgency, otherwise they are going to struggle if Chapman University can get the Hex Tech Drake and the next Baron buff when it spawns. But we will see how they react to the Neferi invading. Looks like they're going to try and catch up now. Neferi ulting in hopes to escape, and the Galio and Rakan coming to assist. The Jinx is most likely going to secure a kill.
What a turn.
Oh, absolutely. Chapman University is absolutely, now that they're starting to do these team fights, even though they're allowing their white to push, it's really starting to
But again, does turn though.
Another turn of events. The Jinx showed up way too late for that team fight after her peel got turned away. If she had been there maybe 20 seconds earlier, that would have been an absolute team wipe on the side of Chapman University. Now they're going to have absolute urgency when it comes to taking this middle turret, as long as somebody can stop Gwen from taking that top turret. This would be an absolute win when it comes to a trade. Because this will be second mid turret. It looks like 2 of them are coming top. Gwen might take the tower. She takes the tower, but looks like she'll die in exchange. But takes out Bacon. Never mind. I don't know if Braum will have the damage to stop her. And oh my god, wow. That was probably less than 100 HP on the Gwen as she won the 2v1. And the flash Malphite ult in order to just BM the enemy top laner. Malphite secures the bounty, but at what cost? At what cost?
Wow. Really well played. I believe that was Ethan there.
Yeah, Ethan 999.
Yeah.
If I am correct.
Yeah.
Struggling a little bit with the names of Chapman University, but some of these plays have been absolutely monstrous for CEI to deal with. But with the Gwen currently down, Baron is about to spawn, and it looks like the CEI's jungler and top lane are about to recall. They have a clear choice. Do they go for Baron and sacrifice Drake, or do they sacrifice the Baron and go for Drake that's going to spawn in approximately 45 seconds if I had to guess? They're kind of... they don't have the numbers they need here for what's about to happen as Chapman University is clearing out all the vision they just set up. I don't know why I want to call them Champ University.
Well, to be fair, this game they are Champion University, seemingly. I mean, the coordination has been really great so far.
Yeah, but they need to be really careful. They're making really aggressive plays, and if you notice, the gold lead, it's starting to close a significant amount. It's gone from 8k to 5k to 3k, and it looks like Marmalade's going to try and make a pick here. If he can take out the enemy jungler, that could be absolutely huge. They're getting at least one pick here. Again, the Jinx is trying her best, but she's not getting killed. Gwen's in the enemy base. She appears to be trying to end as soon as possible.
Oh my.
She took another
The
turret.
decoy.
It appears that split game is where they're planning to win, and if Miss Engineer dies here, she could very well end, but it looks like barely survives.
Wow. Very lucky to get away though.
Oh, absolutely. CEI is barely hanging on here. If they lose another tower, they could just base race into the game, and it looks like the Gwen isn't even worried about the Malphite's damage, but they barely. That is a 10 HP turret.
Thankfully able to
Just
save
barely.
that turret.
Marmalade showing up in clutch to barely save that turret, but who knows? If they get 5 miles per hour winds, they might just topple down like a skyscraper with a poor foundation.
Truly. Truly.
But
So what felt like a little bit, just a sniff, a whiff of stable footing on the side of CEI, not so. The decoy coming out a little bit, so to speak, the decoy on the side of Chapman.
it appears that they're very much wanting to go into split push. However, CEI, although they did lose some turrets and their inhibitor, are really attempting to. Oh no! The poor Shadekeeper gets left in the dust. He has no means to go over the wall. The lead they just got
That
with
is actually
with
tough.
the Baron and the Drake is going down the drain. The gold is even, but the game advantage is not. However, this could be anybody's game here.
We're getting to that point, and honestly, I think we are there where it is relatively level in many aspects in this game. One silver lining, perhaps, on the side of Shadekeeper there being absolutely cornered. Thankfully, his teammates decided to cut their losses very early on, made that quick decision to get out of there and not have more casualties.
Unfortunately, they're unable to finish off the Gwen, but they get greedy, try and get her out when they thought she was caught alone. But if Miss Engineer dies here or another person goes down, they won't be able to defend their base. Oh, it
Marmalade
looks like
cannot overextend.
Marmalade doesn't have the mana, but thanks to Rakanult, he might just be barely fast enough to escape. They're going to have to put on the fight of their lives here. Whoever wins this fight could very easily determine the end of the game. If CEI loses, Chapman University could very well end. There's very little in the way between them and CEI's Nexus.
Shadekeeper was showing presence there as Chapman's decided to push forward and perhaps scared them away a little bit. There was an opportunity there for Chapman to really do some damage, but not able to do so in a good fight here.
No, Shadekeeper goes down. Gwen's healing is just too much to deal with. Marmalade's gonna try and hunt him down, but
He
it's
may have
not
overextended.
gonna work. He used his flash, his ult there, and the Gwen still is alive. They're really starting to panic, thinking this Gwen is by herself. She is surprisingly resilient here.
Hey, listen, bias stream, I admit, I'm not feeling very confident about the chances of CEI right now. I thought maybe we, had a little peek at some stable footing, but it's really not feeling that way. And again, I 100 Lcaster moment, 100% bias stream. Why don't you talk more about my university? Anyway,
I haven't even heard of Chapman University before.
to be fair, they've not even heard of us, so it goes both ways.
Nah, we have fun. But it seems like every time these take these fights, it feels like it's getting closer and closer to a trap set by Chapman, as Gwen is going to ignore the enemy team again and try and end.
Solo play.
Shadekeeper unable to save the turret. She does stop. Xin Zhao does stop the Nexus from being killed, but they
Marmalade
have
goes
nothing
down in the
defending their
process, too.
Nexus until inhibitor comes back up. they're not going to have a means of defending their Nexus from an invade.
No.
The enemy could legitimately just ignore everything going on and just try and rush down the base. Not the most advisable strategy, but one they could very well accomplish.
To be fair, seemingly the fights, I know the kill count still, yes, technically in favor of CEI. Ultimately, it doesn't feel like the fights are in favor of CEI right now.
The thing that's really being used here is that Gwen may have died the most in this game, but she is making every single death make it worth it.
A little bit of maybe a misstep. Might be lucky there on the side of Big Shrimp to get away with his life.
He had a really good flash there. Maybe he was trying to bait in a Fury into a tower dive,
Perhaps,
maybe into
good
their
point.
enemies, but it's just not seeming like they have that finishing blow they need, and it's now on to Soul Point. There's so many little things that if Chapman does properly could end this game. It seems like Gwen's gonna try and go through the top lane, take that inhibitor, and end the game again. It seems like Shakekeeper's there to stop her, but he doesn't notice her, so she's going to continue try and go for a sneak method. Bacon might be here for us.
He does. I think he spotted.
Yep. Ethan is on top of a ward, and they're all about to collapse on the unsuspecting Gwen. She has no idea what's going on. She's going to try and take down Bacon.
That is actually
that
really
is
big.
Why vision is important.
That was, listen, the Gwen pushing up, rather Ethan pushing up, being an absolute heathen, a menace this game. I must admit, really being able to sneak into the enemy lines, their enemy lines being the CEI base, and doing a lot of damage.
Oh, but it looks like this engineer's going to try and go on the offensive. Silas is about to go down. What was that play? They have none of their team. They don't have any of their carries there with the Tristana dead to the Jinx, with the Braum and Zinzao falling behind.
Oh, and
It
I
seems
don't know
like
what there
the
is.
Jinx is finally online. Oh, she tried to ghost away, but it didn't matter. Zinzao just had too much pressure on her. But again, they keep on trying to play two different game plans at the same time, with Malphite and Silas trying to do a 2v3, and then the Tristana doing a 1v1 into a death, and then into a 1v2 with Jinx and Zinzao. This is getting really difficult for CEI to try and keep up. That gold lead that was back to almost 0 has gone back up to a 5k difference in Chapman University's favor, and they have an absolutely undisputed pry over Baron. It seems like Shakekeeper might try and steal, but it's just not possible at this point. He was by himself. There was no vision. If Chapman University just all recalls and pushes up through top lane, so long as they can properly peel to the Jinx, I don't think CEI can stop them.
My thinking is, I'm lost. I'm a little lost for words. But my thinking is along those same lines as yours, truthfully. And I've been feeling that way as I've expressed earlier. The ground is just not stable enough right now for CEI.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm not too sure what the angle or what the opening might be on the side of CEI to really try to regain footing.
Well, this is getting to the point where CEI cannot be making another large mistake, and it seems like they might be baiting themselves into another fight again.
I think they are.
It seems like Marmalade is hitting. Never mind, Marmalade getting some surprising damage off of using the Zonius to just keep himself alive.
A second goes down for Chapman. So far, all players
Marmalade
still up for
makes it
CEI. Wow.
If they continue this with almost all of Chapman's teams being down, they obviously need to get some of their people back to base, but this is their chance to get that footing that they were missing. Again, it seems like the Jinx, although she's really online, she's really fit, she has all of her items, she's having poor positioning in these fights, where if she could just get like maybe 10 seconds of autos in, she could kill the entire enemy team.
Wow. I did not think the fight, I did not think specifically Marmalade was going to be able to do what he did in that fight.
Oh, absolutely. The fact that they survived in that matter as well, like, you saw how low the HP bar got. Mind you, Silas's healing is off the charts.
Yeah, fair.
But it seems like for one of the first times in this match, one of those risky engages really paid off for him. Especially with the Malphite follow-up, which has historically in this game gone very poorly when it came to going on to Gwen, especially with the 1v2 by the tower. But
perhaps the silver lining coming out of that fight on the side of Chapman is the fact that, yes, they had 3-man down, but the HP was so low on the side of CEI, they were not able to capitalize on man advantage there. They just had to recall and kind of regroup and try to coordinate something else moving forward here.
It seems like CEI is going to go for another cheeky engage. Oh no, they ruined a perfect gank potential. Let's leave Gwen and Marmalade up in the top lane. I don't think he wins this. It feels like it might be very similar to what happened last time. Yeah, Gwen is mowing through his HP. And
is alone.
Yep, and it looks like the goal of Chapman University just to kind of keep the enemy from recalling. And I'm sorry, folks, that's game over. The Gwen managed to go for another cheeky base steal. I have to say, the split push there was kind of just amazing on how the Gwen split the focus between the enemy team.
Really well played from Chapman there.
Oh, absolutely.
And to comment on something said by Raider in the chat, we just witnessed karma within about a 5-minute span. Yes, they did Ethan dirty by totally just going 4v1.
4-man on him like
However,
a pack of hyenas.
Ethan absolutely just a little devil sneaking in and just kind of being a one-man wrecking ball effectively.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen in this last game. I think something CEI will have to be careful about is that they were really focusing on the Jinx. Mind you, she was a big threat, but the Gwen was just allowed to do whatever she wanted, because those times they were just trying to basically wait those fights out and let Gwen do whatever she wanted, and CEI appears to have fallen for the trap.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see what happens in the next game, where it will be the final between the two teams. Not biased, but I do want to see my boys win.
Of course.
But
likewise.
After a performance like that between the Gwen and the Jinx, and even a little bit of the Neferi, it's anybody's game. It really is.
Yeah, true. Let's kind of, let's put the goggles on. Let's go hindsight 2020, as it were. Like, what were some of the key mistakes? And again, we didn't see that first 5 minutes, but what were some of the key mistakes on the side of CEI that really allowed that to just kind of snowball?
3 things that came to my mind was, in the beginning, both bot lane and mid lane really struggled to maintain their HP in those fights. They took a lot of unnecessary trades where just the Jinx got a lot of damage off on the Tristana, and Galio took very little HP due to their passive. So it caused them to have those HP leads, which just kept them permanently under tower. So River was always Chapman's territory. The second thing was Malphite and Silas made a lot of risky engages. I think it was like 6 of them, and only 2 of them worked out, which causes a lot of problems in trying to create that template that they needed to continue, because every time they made those plays, Gwen got more and more money, got more and more towers, and eventually swept through the top lane, as you saw. And the third issue was that even though CEI had a lot of vision out, they kept on falling for a lot of baits, especially again with those risky engages. And a lot of the times it led to Tristana, Silas, even the Zinzhao once or twice to just completely get demolished before a team fight even begins. Like, just getting abducted by aliens at certain points, and then just there was nothing they could do but let Chapman University do whatever they wanted for the next minute as they got their members back.
So we are going to take just a little bit of a break just to reset between what will be match number 3, and this is ultimately do or die for both teams here. It's totally level playing field.
Close.
Next team to win this 3rd match will secure the victory. However, like I say, we will be right back, and we're just going to take a little bit of a break.
See you in a little bit. It's a very famous meme within the League community.
Meaning, hey, we win those.
Surely we win those.
here for it.
Gotta love my Swedish streamers.
A Frog, give a little bit of a shout out to Frog NT. He was in fact Mr. Big Shrimpin that we saw in match 2. Mad respect. I believe I may be speaking out of turn there.
I believe you're correct. I wouldn't know. I'm completely out of
That's
touch.
the wrong game. All right, there we go. Ooh, hold on, my friends. Party foul.
Think might need to swap some. There we go. Now the game's starting. Time to work my magic.
Work your magic, my friend, as we get things a little set up here. Again, I appreciate the patience of everybody in chat, and I also appreciate everybody coming out and supporting esports, whether you're for the side of Chapman or...
Want me to put objective timers on this match, or do we want to keep them out?
Let's do it.
Okay.
I've got you.
Don't know why chat keeps popping back up. Okay, just re-click the icon. Sweet.
We're on it.
Should be set up for this game. Now I don't have to guess for when timers are going to spawn.
Lovely.
But let me ask you, as a...
Minions have spawned.
as someone who is not super well versed in this, what do you think is going to happen in the first couple of minutes? From like an outsider perspective.
Well, you know, I've seen several games played over the course of the several seasons that we've had league here at CEI, and primarily it's oftentimes, and I don't know if that's what CEI, it doesn't look like that's what they're planning to do, but it's really just about establishing presence and allowing yourself to, I don't know, because right, there's different phases, and I think that we saw CEI take the L in that first early game phase, and really, as we mentioned, that allowed for the snowball. So what do I think is going to happen, and what do I want to happen? I want to see presence committed, and I want to see stability provided on the side of CEI. I want to see like proper coordination. I want to see better decision making overall to really allow for them to, again, and it's kind of been the buzzword, but to get a foothold in this game. So
I absolutely agree. And something that is always a factor to take into account in games like this is always the clarity that is sometimes granted when you lose a game, and it gives you just that foresight of like, I'm not letting this happen again.
yeah, of course.
Unfortunately, it seems Easy Breeze went in without being level 2 just yet, which would have been a massive buff to what happened. But it looks like bot lane's gonna try and stall the game out, at least that specific fight, so that they can just go back to farming until probably level 3 when they'll go back in and just harass the Ashe.
Harassment. Yeah.
Man, my issues and my aren't so good.
It's all right.
But it looks like there's a lot of heavy skirmishing going on. Galio's being pushed out of lane. Anivia's being pushed out of lane. Fury still needs to finish his third camp. His fifth camp rather. The only ones who appear to be at least struggling to a certain degree is bot lane, and even then it's more of a standstill.
Surely. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but like last game we didn't really see.
You're wrong.
Well, okay, fair. I'll stop right there.
Continue.
Okay. Last game we didn't really see like, and perhaps it was more prevalent within early and mid game, but really like I don't think we saw like a lot of presence from Ethan in that top lane because well, perhaps we did because that was how he was slipping into the back lines, but.
Oh, how it just seemed like the Gwen kept on going unnoticeable. And it
Precisely.
looks like
Wow, great first
Marmalade is going for first blood again. This time not even needing a gank from the jungler.
Really well played by him to be able to do that without I don't want to say wasting the resources of your teammate, but yes.
Well, and the crazy thing is Galio's passive makes it hard for AP champions to do damage early, which is kind of crazy considering Ahri isn't known for her early damage. And
Definitely a misstep then on the side of Chapman.
oh, absolutely. But the real question is, why did they let Ahri through if they remember the first game?
Fair.
Unfortunately, if Miss Engineer had more mana there, that Anivia would have gone down. Her passive would have procced, and then Miss Engineer probably would have had to back off. But, because for reference, Anivia, once every 3 minutes, if she dies, she turns into an egg, and then you have to kill her again. But
Fair play.
if you take that out, then she doesn't have that second life. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. Understood, boss man.
How does it feel learning about a game that you probably will never want to play?
My mental health is intact.
It's nice to have. No, it's fine. Everyone here who's played League understand what it's like to play League.
I don't need that
You're
negative energy in my life. I'm totally joking.
You're like a nerd who normally hangs out in the library, but now they're watching a sports ball game.
Sports ball.
Go sports ball.
Ooh, early game banter. A lot going on.
Laning phase is typically the boring part of the game, but now that people are starting to hit 6, we're going to start seeing some more exciting plays, especially around the mid here, considering one, Galio can basically travel around the map at ease, and Ari can dash through the entire map as she pleases. So.
Yeah, fair play. And, you know, objectives here sooner rather than later are going to come into play, and teams will be vying for those objectives.
I mean, Drake just spawned. It seems like Nefiri's going to try and go after the Ari, since it seems like that's the main focus.
Oh, and there might be a gank coming for...
Ari needs to ult
And there
immediately, otherwise
is.
she's down.
Oh,
so unfortunate. It seems like Xin Zhao has been kind of permafarming, not really getting an opportunity to gank anywhere, but he might have to contest for this dragon here.
That is fair, and, you know, maybe Shadekeeper not moving to assist Marmalade there in the mid lane is just because of how uncomfortable he was last game, and it's just...
He's getting feared.
Yeah, perhaps he's just wanting to remain comfortable, and so maybe didn't want to overstep his bounds there. However,
They see that.
keeping an eye on things.
Oh, absolutely. He sees that dragon is going on. It looks like the Anivia messing up their own combo could be their own death, and it looks like Shadekeeper is going to get the catch out onto Galio and get this Mountain Drake that appeared to be free for the Nefiri.
Wow.
It,
Again,
quite
a little bit of a...
turnaround.
Exactly.
Don't know how things are going. There we go. Things are up at the top lane. Anivia's gotten all of her HP back. Miss Engineer looking to be in a bit of a dangerous spot. But if Miss Engineer can keep it there for a little bit, maybe Ari can rotate up and help get the second kill needed on Ethan in order to try and get that lead going up the top lane. But Ethan's got to be careful. If they mess up that wall like they did earlier, they can very easily suicide under that tower.
Still a little bit of danger there for Miss Engineer. Things getting
absolutely.
a little too close for comfort, perhaps.
The issue is they can't really miss that wave. That's a lot of XP that they could miss out on if they left.
That's fair.
And it looks like bot lane's still kind of going in a standstill. CS pretty much point for point amongst the ADCs. Not quite for the supports, but it looks like ADCs will not be interacting much this game until the team fights break out.
That's fair.
But the Xin Zhao really needs to back 50 CS and still hasn't gotten an item yet. It's going to be hard for them to make plays if they don't get the back for the items they need. But again, seems like people are just farming. Unlike the action-packed early games, the previous 2 matches, it seems people are trying to take it a little bit slower. They're playing very cautiously, knowing that whoever wins this game gets to move on into the next bracket.
It's been very calculated for sure. Yeah.
It looks like Easy Breeze is setting up that hook angle, ready to go on the Janna, and they are going to collapse on them. Look at the damage that Janna took, and then the Nautilus is just gonna step up and help the ADCs get. And if Fury's coming in though, they need to get out of there now.
They can still getting hit.
So the way Ashe works is once she lands autos, she gets rid of all your movement speed, basically.
I gotcha. So not much
They
there
either
that can
had
be
to
done on
win
the side of Bacon.
fight, or they had to make sure the Ashe couldn't follow.
Fair play. Unfortunate to go down because now bottom lane pressure is going to go the way of Chapman.
Yeah, but another thing to keep in mind is that,
Well, they've got 3 there, so they might be.
which if you notice on the mini map, although Easy Breeze is getting ran down, and the Fury unfortunately has to and gets out. It
Another fight
seems
breaking out,
like
though.
the fight in top lane is going very well, and they will not only get the double, they also get Rift Herald, which a couple of plates and 2 kills for 2 kills and Rift Herald seemed like a relatively even trade for me at least. Especially since bot lane didn't really seem to be eager in taking those plates.
Fair enough.
And it seems like Marmalade's also taking some of the plates in top lane, so I would say CEI got the slightly better deal in that circumstance.
Chapman regrouping though. Trying to figure out maybe where some of the opportunities are, whether that be with objectives or what type of team play might come out from them to kind of try and catch out CEI.
Absolutely. And again, very early stages of the game, a play here or a play there can very easily sway the balance of the game. CEI currently has roughly a 2k gold lead, mainly with Marmalade. If they can push the lead like they did in the first game, I think Chapman is going to be very upset once again, because I would have to assume that the Xin Zhao is going to drop the Rift Herald mid to give the Ahri a tad bit more resources. But it seems as if Chapman does not want to give a single quarter. They understand that if they lose, but it doesn't seem like the Galio can do anything about it, as Marmalade is just shoving those spirit orbs down their face. That didn't sound right. I apologize. Miss Engineer dodging. If she can get on top of the Anivia here, that is an easy kill. And it looks like Anivia passive is down. Not going to be able to kill in time, but next time, won't have to worry about the passive. Seems like Ahri is coming down. Easy Breeze getting a double CC off with a single ability on both the Ashe and the Janna.
Oh.
The Janna's going to Nope, Janna still goes
What a
down.
snipe. What a snipe.
Absolutely. That must have barely killed, and that gives them prio for Dragon. I don't know if Chapman University like that.
Definitely not, but they're keeping an eye on what's going on there.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think another Fury's going to chip and steal. But now that the first 2 Drakes have been taken, it looks like there's going to be Ocean Soul this game, and considering how both teams are very much brawling, Ocean Soul will give either team a really large advantage. But it looks
Wow.
clean flash
Very
by
clean.
Miss Engineer to get a very solid kill on Anivia. With this, top lane will probably get 2 plates. Bot lane might even take a full tower here, given that there's 3 of them. But we'll see how much they can do. With that, CEI just rocketed the gold difference from 2k to 3.5k. And it seems like they just do not want to give up this tempo. Unfortunately, the Nautilus is trying to run, but the Ashe keeps running them down. But Ashe doesn't get to do anything, and Galio is down an ult, and Ahri is now taking plates mid lane. They are taking every scrap of gold they can to make sure that their carries are going to one-shot their enemies.
It's certainly way more coordinated thus far in just the full team effort on the side of CEI.
Whatever panic was going through them in the second game seems to have been lost. Hopefully they can keep that calm mental moving into the later stages of the game. Again, not biased, but
True.
but we'll see what we can get done here. Because it seems like Miss Engineer is going to try and go for another kill. They're going to use the ult. The Anivia is just going to try and keep their distance as best they can. But I don't know. It seems like Chapman University is starting to panic, especially right now with this Anivia about to die. as long as the stun doesn't go off and that wall doesn't mess up Miss Engineer too bad, that is a dead Anivia. Another solo kill, but it looks like Nefaria might be going up so that Camille cannot take any more plates. But for reference, Red Comet 64, Ocean Soul is whenever you deal damage to anything, you will automatically replenish your life and mana, which means if you're constantly fighting, constantly taking long trades, you're basically going to have to keep fighting the same person over and over at max health. And then they'll just never run out of mana for their abilities, to make it very difficult to stop someone once they have a lead. And Neferi stopping Miss Engineer from doing anything in top lane, unfortunately unable to get the kill here, but stops them from taking any more damage to the turret. Easy Breeze clearing out some of the vision in the bot lane so that in case if something goes awry, they at least can make sure that they have vision of the enemy jungler if it comes through Ocean. But currently it seems like things are going to be a little bit calm at the moment. People are just kind of trying to regroup and get their thoughts back together.
It's going swimmingly.
Gar, 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 gar.
Sorry, everybody. Elcaster.
I'm ashamed. That's you stole my level of comedy.
I'm sorry. Elcaster moment. Is there a dad in the chat? My bad. Apologies.
But it just seems like people are trying to play it a little bit slower. I think that'll work in favor of CEI, given that they already have the gold lead and they're honestly about to finish off at least 1 to 2 towers probably in the next 5 minutes. But with Rift Herald being up and being currently taken, Neferi being nowhere near to stop it, and there's really nothing that Chapman University is doing to provide pressure on the map, I think they are going to very much struggle stopping the jungle pressure that has now been thrown in. Seems like the Neferi's kind of lost on what they're doing. They're clearing some vision, but they don't really have any ganking opportunities to go on with bot lane being very passive.
We do see Shadekeeper and Marmalade right on cue here to assist in the top lane.
Oh, absolutely. This is going to, with that tower going down immediately, this is going to be a tower dive and a half. And that Anivia passive got immediately destroyed. They are going to take that Rift Herald to the second tower, probably recall so that Gallia can get anything mid here, but that was an absolutely beautiful play by CEI there. Easy Breeze with a little bit of a missed hook opportunity going into the wall.
Whoops.
But
sorry, buddy, we saw that.
It's going on Twitter.
Yeah, clip it.
But at least it forced the Neferi to flash out of the situation, which gives them at least a little bit of an advantage when it comes to catching them next time. And I don't think Chapman University can stop CEI from going for the next Drake.
They are sending the throne the kitchen sink at him, I will say.
It is a 5v5. It looks like Shadekeeper managed to smite the dragon in time to get it, but it looks like CEI just completely wiped the enemy team 0 for 4.
Wow. Wow.
That just turned the game into a 6K loss for Chapman University, and they're 1 dragon away from getting Ocean Soul, which if they get, I don't know if Chapman University will be able to deal with the sheer healing unless if they all get heal cut.
Marmalade just back in mid, chipping away at the tower. At the turret, excuse me. Turret will go down though.
Tower schmauer, same.
Tower schmauer. Turret schmurret.
But it seems like at least a couple people on CEI really need to get the recalls off after that last play. They have quite a bit of gold that they need to spend, especially Shadekeeper and Marmalade, who just got their second item of the game. It seems like Miss Engineer is being a little bit bullied by the Anivia, but the damage doesn't seem all that relevant, and they're going to probably try for a solo kill without knowing that Gallia was on the way to try and stop. That was a chunk of damage. But it seems like Camille is aware of the Galio being here. Miss Engineer's probably just gonna try and leave. They're not gonna even pretend to fall for that bait. Seems like bot lane is heading mid and mid lane's heading bot to establish different pressures to try and make sure the Ahri can continue pushing out and getting what she needs to. But Chapman University, everyone's kind of just mid and not a whole lot is going on. I'm wondering what their strategy is. What do you think?
I'm a deer in the headlights right now, Quentin. Look at me.
Man,
No, well,
shaking over there.
Well, to be fair, yes, there was a lot of mid presence coming out for Chapman just then. However, things have begun to kind of normalize. The map presence is a little bit more spread out. And as I say that, Chapman, if we look at the mini map, starting to send 3 toward that top lane, might look for an opportunity to take down Miss Engineer here on the top lane.
Yeah, but Miss Engineer, now that they're aware of what's
Very
going
aware.
on, even though they had all that pressure up there, Chapman's roaming a lot, but they're not getting a whole lot out of it.
And you know, it looks like the mobility is there, but it's not being utilized the same way on the side of Chapman as it was in this last match, match number 2.
Oh, absolutely. Especially given how much engage potential they have with like Galio ults, Ashe ults, and Anivia stun. It seems like they're too scared to move forward, which honestly they should be considering how much of a lead CEI is at. But like the first game and even the second game, but in that instance it was CEI, if they don't make a risky play and get some sort of huge benefit, I think they're just going to slowly lose the game.
Unfortunately, certainly, the tides have shifted, as it were.
The tables have turned after they turned the tables.
That's right. However, I am curious to know like what the organization is going to look like on the side of CEI to really try to continue to punish the side of Chapman, and to see how they can move into these later stages of the game, and try to secure the dub.
Something that's going to be absolutely about that. Oh, the Ashe ult. Very pinpoint precision. But it seems like rather than try and run away, the Camille's going to go in, absolutely decimating people, but unfortunately they die, the flash being wasted. I think Camille probably should have exited, but something that's going to be key for CEI to continue trying to make plays is they need to really try and get these waves pushed in. But Chapman is making sure that they get cleared out before any tower damage is possible, which is making it really hard for Miss Engineer to really prioritize that lane to get those towers taken.
That's
like
fair. They're
previously.
not allowing that snowball to really even form. I mean, yeah, in some ways, yes, there has been the snowball, and CEI has been able to push it and try to build that snowman, as it were. But I mean, they're
not
holding
really
off.
getting anything accomplished from it, despite
right.
the lead they've currently accrued.
That's right.
But we will see how that continues, because Drake is about to spawn in 15. If CEI can secure this, that will be Ocean Soul, and no matter how hard Chapman fights, the sheer influence that it's going to have is going to be ridiculous. And Anivia is TPing down here. It is going to be a 5v5 brawl.
Wow.
I believe that Marmalade is going to have a very big influence on how this fight plays out. If they can get some solid ults off, I believe that... Oh, what a clean flash. Anivia is already out of the game. Ahri got stunned by the Ashe ult, but it seems like... Oh,
Two down.
CEI is getting 2 of them down. They're going after the team. If they can go for a full 5-wipe here, it's a 3 Jag and potentially upwards of 2 towers.
They weren't able to trade. Chapman has not been able to trade. That is 4 down right now for
It
Chapman.
happened again, and that is a free Ocean Soul. And if CEI plays it right, they could potentially take a tower mid here if they split off their focus, although it doesn't seem like they plan on it.
I
That
think
was
it's
an
just
absolutely clean fight right there for
yes,
CEI.
it was. Yes, it was.
And with this new buff in place, even the support is going to be significantly harder to kill. There's just going to be so much healing going on. And it looks like they're going to go for an early Baron play. If they get this, the gold lead, which is almost 8k at this point,
Wow.
will... Oh, it is actually exactly 8k. Will probably skyrocket to 11k-ish gold difference, which at that point, Chapman, I'm sorry, I don't think you can do much there unless if you manage to collect all the shutdowns that CEI have possesses.
That's fair. But no, it's really not looking all too promising for the side of Chapman. And to be honest, I'm not sure what the opening would be for them. Sorry about that. We love to see it. Indie game company, by the way.
That's a very small company.
Very small. No money.
No money, zero profit.
Zero investment. Anyway, moving on.
But something to point out, after that play, not only did Miss Engineer finish another item, which is going to make them do a large amount of damage, they're going to just completely annihilate this Anivia, except for the Flash isn't going to save you, Bird. She got turned into fried chicken.
Wow, what a play.
But the Lucian gained another item, the Nautilus gained another item, and Ari is close to a third full item, which it looks like they're going for Banshee's Veil, which is going to make them significantly harder to CC. I don't know if Chapman has a move that they can make in this position that
That's
will get
two
them
turrets
back in.
down.
Two turrets, they're losing all the 1v1s. Their Anivia is 0-7. Even I don't play that bad. No flame, no flame. Top lane,
sounds like flame,
top lane is a very volatile role. We all been there.
Listen, we can't do Ethan dirty like that because of the impact that he had in
That
game number 2. We can't
it's
be doing
revenge.
that. This is fair.
After
Revenge
what
on the side
Ethan
of
did
CEI.
to Miss Engineer last game, I mean,
A little bit of a chip on the shoulder.
very much. You can feel the rage and spite growing. Call them Tryndamere the way they be angry in this shit. And this is out. Sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Oh, but it looks like
An additional turret.
another turret's being taken. Chapman is sending 3 top to deal with Camille and 1 mid, and just neither can stop either out. Taking another turret. Chapman is really struggling. They haven't even taken 1 yet, let alone being able to take any pressure off of any of the lanes given all the wave clear that they possess. And with triple Baron wave, oh no, CEI is going to go in for another pentakill here. If Ari might go for a pentakill here if she can finish off the Galio and get the last dash in on. Unfortunately, the Lucian stole the pentakill. What a shame. Marmalade putting in so much work there.
Team Ace, though.
Team Ace, unofficial penta.
Unofficial penta.
But I do believe that is the conclusion of the 3rd match, and congratulations to CEI for winning the first game of the season.
Well played, boys. Well played.
Chapman, GG's. Respect to your team. You killed it in the 2nd game. Unfortunately, CEI pulled it back from the grave.
Truly. Really, really well played. Almost clinical, to be honest with you. Not many mistakes coming out there in game number 3.
They made a lot of very clean and precise movements that unfortunately Chapman wasn't able to create any opportunities off of, and it really forced them to fall behind.